Hello, wildlings. I'm your Creep Smith, and you found my Fear Forge. Lucky you.
Midnight Dancer by Mr. Baubas. Have you ever had one of those feelings that something was wrong? I don't mean during the day either, but at night. I mean that sudden, unprovoked feeling of dread that commands you to wake up. It's funny, it's almost like nocturnal evil gives something off that your brain picks up on. I actually had one of those recently. It forced me up at 3 a.m. Now, normally, when you'd have that feeling, you would lay still, feigning sleep, or if you were feeling adventurous, you'd take a quick check around the house. And after you failed to discover anything, you would inevitably crawl back to bed and go to sleep. I should have done that this time. I should have stayed asleep. That night, I sat straight up. For the longest time, I sat there, staring into the dark of my house before I even realized that I was awake. Then came the fear, that slow, strangling feeling that constricts your chest and worms its way down your throat. I was alone in my home, wide-eyed and afraid with no explanation. I couldn't hear the telltale signs of a break-in downstairs or the phantom sound of a leaking pipe somewhere. I had no reason to be freaked out, but I was. Without much thought, I got up and walked over to the window. I don't know why I did. I just peeled back just enough of the curtain to poke my head through and stared out into my moonlit backyard. I should have stayed asleep. Outside, prancing in my garden, was a clown. It had ruffles around its sleeves and collar, baggy pants, floppy shoes. Its painted white face was even topped off with a big, red, rubber nose. It was without a doubt the last thing that I wanted to see at 3 in the bloody morning. It danced in complete silence, doing a step that only a madman or a child could understand. Its playful manner was haunting. I watched with dreadful fascination as it circled the garden, trying my best to ignore the growing lump in my throat. It moved around, pausing occasionally to play with my gardening tools or to sniff the budding plants. Then it waltzed over to an oak sapling that I'd planted and disappeared behind it. I blinked. This wasn't possible. It walked behind the thin infant plant, but didn't come out the other side. I should have seen it the entire time, but I didn't. It was like the clown had walked through a door hidden by the sapling. I should have stayed asleep. I hoped that everything here was some sort of waking dream. Pretending nothing had happened was easier than facing the truth. The clown came back, though. Night after night, I watched as it danced around my backyard, and at the end of every night, it would vanish the same way. One night, it disappeared behind a garden hoe, only for it to appear seconds later from behind the lawnmower. Tonight, I found it digging a hole in the middle of the yard. Now, I've never seen it do something like this before, and my immediate thought was that the clown was digging my grave. The hole got deeper and deeper as the clown dug until the top of the hole had reached its head. Once it finished, it stood at the edge of the hole, motionless, when out of nowhere it jerked its head around toward me. My heart pounded so hard that I could taste copper in my mouth. I'm about to tear away from the curtain when I see it bend down and pluck up a flower. The clown then put the stem between its teeth and planted the shovel firm in the ground before stretching out pretend suspenders and admiring its work like a farmer. My heart was still racing at this point, but I was just glad that it didn't really see me. Then, as if the thing read my mind, it turned on its heels and again stared right at me. I never thought I'd actually pray for a heart attack. It spit the flour out and then ran toward me, its feet flopping to the sides. It stopped, feet from my house, grinning at me with filthy orange teeth as it pointed to the hole and waved me over excitedly like a child showing off a finger painting. Frozen in place, the only thing that I could do was furiously shake my head no. The clown's smile fell, and it scratched its head as if confused. Then it walked over to the hole and pointed at it again. I should have told it to fuck off, if I could. It stood there for a moment before animatedly acting out its aha moment. Then it waltzed over to the planted shovel and disappeared behind it. I stared wide-eyed, hoping that it would reappear in the yard like it had before. I silently prayed for this until the moment I heard my closet door creak open. I should have stayed asleep. So stay scary, my wildlings. If you ever find yourself up at 3 in the morning, what the hell are you doing? Get some sleep. But make the most of your nights.